Well, Your Honor, I think that, well, I imagine that part of the reason why Ms. Morales has all of this information regarding the steps taken throughout the investigation is because she's spoken to the detectives. I assure you, I've read all of the discovery, and nowhere in there does it lead me step by step to what Ms. Morales just said. It is discoverable because, according to Rule 3.220, subsection B1B, a statement, which is what the state is citing as an objection to why this is not discoverable, is specifically intended to include all police and investigative reports of any kind prepared for or in connection with the case. I believe that we have the right, in order to explore all viable theories of defense, to be taken through those exact steps that the investigation took lead detective Elosegui through. All I know about these printouts, and that's why I also call them printouts, is because on page 7, as I stated in my motion, of the detective's report, which I have read several times, he himself points the reader to refer to the printouts.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. Ms. Morales, obviously your detective has it in his case file. I'm assuming he has these printouts in his case file.
I'm sure he does, Judge, because he gave them to me.
There you go. I tell you what, Ms. Riello, when you take his deposition, you can ask him to show them to you then. Whether you need copies of them after that, we'll litigate that later. Does that work for everybody? All right. I'm going to also ask you to note this as one of the things that I expect to see in an order that one of you will prepare for me, or maybe Mr. Frankel will, when we're done. So with regard, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Judge, I don't want to interrupt. When the video recorded statement of that minor child was turned over, his face was blurred. If we are turning over the one of the minor child, may we blur his face?
Well, you're not turning it over yet, ma'am.
All right, understood. But if we get there, maybe blur.
Yeah, if we will cross that bridge when we get to it. At this point, the defense will have an opportunity to get a look at it during the deposition, and if there's need for them to have copies of it, because we're talking about identities of juveniles and things that I believe are appropriate under the protective order provisions of Rule 3.220. But if it becomes an issue after you've seen them during depo, we'll work on that then. All right. As to, I think the next area that the defense raises, text messages between Detective Elosegui and Mr. Ramos. Now that goes to paragraph 6D of the original, of the third motion to compel, and it refers over to paragraph 9 in the state's response. So paragraph 2 in the defense pleading, paragraph 9 in the state pleading. Text messages between Elosegui and Ramos. The state indicates this should be denied as they turned over the text messages between them on June 24 of this year, and they are not aware of any additional messages. The defense, on the other hand, asks me to order all additional text messages after October 19, 2023. So are there any text messages between the detective and Mr. Ramos that have not been turned over to the defense? Ms. Morales?
I don't believe so. Upon receiving this again, reached out to Detective Elosegui and asked, and was advised that the only message was what had been turned over, which was when Mr. Ramos sent a couple of pictures, I guess, from a baby monitor, and that was it. So I know both of them are subject to deposition. To the best of my knowledge, that's all that exists at this time.
And excuse my ignorance in this sense, but you guys have access to all the discovery and you've been working super hard. I only get what's brought before me. Okay.
Right.
I'm assuming that Mr. Ramos is the stepfather?
Yes, he's the father of, yes, he's the stepfather.
And the father of the infant that was in the same room at the time of Ms. Garcia's death. Okay, yes. Good. Let me say this, because I'm running into this issue in other cases. I'm going to ask that you make sure that Detective Elosegui understands that his communications by text with Mr. Ramos, who I'm sure is some type of witness for you in this case, that those text messages are discoverable. They are statements of witnesses, okay? They are not to be deleted. They are not to be destroyed. And any text messages between the detective and a witness are to be turned over under Rule 3.220.
I will let him know, Judge.
Ms. Riello, you will have an opportunity to depose, obviously, these two witnesses. And if there are any text messages that you learn about between them, you will inform the court. We'll order them produced. Okay?
Your Honor, and just to make the record even more clear,
Sure.
I don't know, obviously I don't know, but I have, as I've said, I've reviewed the discovery. I've done so thoroughly, and it appears to me with certainty, based on what has been provided, that at the very least on November 27th, 2023, there were additional messages on the same thread that the state previously provided. So I am asking, and I could, you know what, I could go ahead and file another motion and I can attach that as an exhibit.
Let's do that. Okay. And in fact, perhaps if you guys were to pick up the phone and speak with each other, Ms. Morales, you might call your detective and identify those specific dates and see what you got.
Yes, Judge, I'd be happy to. From what I know, that's all there was, but I'm happy to tell him to look specifically back to that date.
You're under an obligation to turn them over. And
Yes,
if you don't see them in the next week or two, Ms. Riello, you'll let me know by way of a motion. But the state is on notice that they're required to turn over the text messages. You've put them on notice that they may be missing some. And I'm going to, let's make the second thing we're putting in this order. All text messages between Detective Elosegui and Mr. Ramos shall be produced. All right. Paragraph 3 in the defense pleading at page 4 corresponds to paragraph 10 in the state's pleading. That deals with Detective Elosegui and Mr. Verdecia, who what I'm learning about from your pleadings